vinegar to partially, we call denature it, so that the dye will actually attach. If you don't have the vinegar in there, it won't attach. Now, why do some of the commercial dyes work anyway? Because in those tablets, they can build in some citric acid. Or if you have water from a well where you have a lot of other minerals, sometimes some of the minerals can act as an acid as well.
That's interesting. One of the Easter egg kits that we did with Luke earlier this year said we needed to add vinegar with one of the colors, but not
With
the
the
others. And then I ended up accidentally putting vinegar in more than one. And I sort of thought, but wasn't sure, that made the color stronger.
It does. It
Yeah.
attaches much better.
Uh-huh.
And the way you can prove this, we got a whole series of experiments. I did a whole sort of independent presentation on Easter egg dye. You can prove this by taking sandpaper and sandpapering off some of this cuticle on the outside of the egg, and then the dye will take. It's just the cuticle that prevents the dye from taking. And you know, the other idea
Without
about
the vinegar.
crayons, when you're dyeing eggs, so you write a
Right.
crayon. So the crayon is non-polar, it has no charge. The water is not attracted to it, but the water is attracted to the eggshell with the vinegar that now has a charge, and the water takes the dye with it.
And so why is it, so if I'm tracking pretty slowly here, but did I understand that the negative was attracted to the negative?
No, the two, negative is always attracted to positive, just like North Pole, magnet and South Pole.
Right, that's
So
what I
it's
thought.
North Pole, positive and negative. The water molecule has a negative area and a positive area.
Okay.
So it can turn. That's why it's called the universal solvent, because most chemicals don't have both, but water does.
I see.
And that's why water dissolves. As, from a chemical point of view, water is the most unique substance ever. But because it's in such abundance here, we take it for granted and think it's common. But chemically, it's quite unique.
Interesting.
But what we're talking about is this like dissolves like. Things without a charge dissolve other things without a charge. Things with a charge dissolve things with a charge. And they don't switch. So you can't have something that's charged dissolving something without a charge. That's oil and water too. Water is charged, oil is not. They don't mix. Now you can agitate them where you're breaking the oil up into very little droplets that stay suspended in the water, but eventually they'll settle out. When you make salad dressing, which is vinegar and oil, vinegar is mostly water, they will settle out unless you put in an emulsifying agent. An emulsifying agent has one charged side, like soap, and one uncharged soap. So it takes the three molecules together as a triad: the water, the emulsifying agent, and the oil.
And why isn't water an emulsifying agent if it has both a positive and a negative?
Because what you're dealing with is something that's charged and something that has no charge. So water has two different charges, but it doesn't have a side of it that's not charged.
Oh.
So you have to think on the
So it doesn't
higher
matter
point.
whether it's positive or negative,
No.
just that it has a charge.
Charge.
I see. Okay.
So this is what we call
And if it's relevant for global warming, I'll try to remember that.
this is what we call cognitive overload, where we've completely overloaded any kind of short-term memory that you can't remember anything that you did. So I will kind of walk you through it again with the papers in hand before